friends! Today I'm going to be showing you these Crayola brush markers. A lot of you have been asking me about these. They recently started carrying them at Target and on Amazon. I'm not sure if they're a new product or if they're even new at Target, but I know that a lot of people have recently been finding them. And everybody wants to know if they are worth the price and if they are like Tombow Dual Tip Brush Pens, because as you can see on the package, they do look like they were created and kind of modeled after the Tombow Dual Brush Pens. So I decided to pick up a pack of these, and they also do have another pack that has a whole set with some practice things and a few different types of brush pens. And somebody in my Facebook group had actually shared that they purchased that pack, but that only a couple of the pens were actually brush pens and that the other ones were like the Crayola Super Tips and some other pens that you can buy elsewhere in other Crayola packs. And so I didn't really want to spend the money to get a bunch of markers that I already had, especially since it only seemed like a couple of them were the brush pens. And so I decided not to buy it. And then when I saw this, I thought, well, I will just try it to see what these markers are like. So let me show you what is in here. These right now are $13.99 on Amazon, which can change sometimes, but I will leave a link in the description box below so that you can check those out if you're interested. But it comes in this tin container, and it comes as a set of 16. So there's these markers, and then there is another set down here. So let me take these out and then I will show you how they work. So here they are, and as you can see, there are a large variety of colors. Let me just show you the specifics of what they look like. This one is the color violet on one side and flamingo pink on the other. And they do have a brush tip on one end, and then the other end is a bullet tip, similar to the Tombow Dual Brush Markers. And in a minute, I will show you a comparison between the two as well. So let's just do some basic strokes here with these before I get into writing letters with them. You can kind of do your thin upstrokes and your thick downstrokes similar to the Tombow markers. But I feel that these write quite a bit differently. And the main difference that I notice is when you push really hard on a Tombow marker, that flexible tip, you can push it all the way sideways and it'll just pop right back up. But with these markers, I notice that when you push pretty hard, it kind of stays bent like that, which is a characteristic of writing with the regular Crayola markers as well. So you just kind of have to rotate your marker as you're writing, which isn't a huge deal, but I do feel like these are kind of expensive for them to be doing that. Part of the reason why it's so fun to do hand lettering with Crayola markers is because you're taking a really inexpensive product, like a few dollars, and creating something really cool like hand lettering out of it or brush lettering. But with these were $13.99 for a 16 pack. So, I mean, they weren't inexpensive at all. And another thing that I'll show you here in a minute is that a lot of these markers wrote really differently for me. So while one of them might have bent up like this, another one was a little bit more flexible. So let me just show you that using some lettering worksheets so that you can kind of see how these write different letters. Here I'm just going to use some of my large lettering worksheets. I can leave a link for these in the description box below if you're interested. But these are the size that I recommend for a larger brush pen like a Tombow, so that's why I'm just trying to use these here. As you can see, some of these came out a little bit thicker than some of the others. I don't know if that's just a little bit different in manufacturing or if maybe I need to like break them in. They're pretty new to me, so I haven't used them other than just testing out a couple of the colors. So I guess I will just see as time goes on if they get a little bit more flexible. But one thing that I noticed is that some of them sort of started out pointed to an angle. And if I didn't make sure to kind of rotate it so that I was pushing it back the other way, it just kind of made some of them flop all over, which you can kind of see right here. So you just kind of have to make sure that you're holding the brush the right way. And again, that's kind of characteristic of the Crayola Broad Tip Markers, so I'm used to that with them. But for brush pens, I just was expecting it to be a little bit different. So here I'm just going to show you the difference between how these three pens write. As you can see, this is the Tombow Dual Brush Pen, this is the Crayola Brush Pen, and then this is just a Crayola Broad Tipped Marker. So again, this is the Tombow Dual Brush Pen, and I'm just going to do a little bit of lettering with this. And as you can see, I'm pushing really hard. My tip goes really far sideways, but it always bounces back. I don't find myself having to adjust my pen or rotate it. I can push really hard like that, and then when I come back up, the pen tip is still pretty straight. And that is not really what I found with the Crayola markers. Let me just show you. So this is the Crayola brush pen. And if I push really hard, it almost just feels like it stops. It almost just feels like it kind of stops halfway. So let me just show you an example. When you push really hard on a Tombow Dual Brush Pen, it just bends. But this one, it only bends from that tip. And then my pen just wants to stay kind of crooked to the side. It just doesn't bounce back up, which is why you get this right here instead of it just kind of like lightly coming back up. You can kind of work around that by rotating your pen or by going really, really, really slow. But I'm just trying to go kind of quick to show you the differences between those. And then if we want to add the Crayola marker into the mix, this is just the regular Crayola Broad Tips that you can find in the kids craft section. These don't write anything like these when you're pushing on them, but they do give you a really similar result. So let's just see here. This one says graphic green and the other one says teal, but they look very, very similar, don't they? So I actually love hand lettering with Crayola markers, especially for beginners. I think they're really one of the best ways to start because you can really get some nice strokes, but they're really easy to control. But like the Crayola brush tip markers, you kind of have to rotate your pen because as you can see it's tipped up like that. So if you just rotate it back this way to do the next letter, you can get a really nice look. It's just not quite as easy as the Tombow Dual Brush Pen because again with this one you don't have to rotate it to kind of correct the tip of your pen. So the last thing that I want to show you is the bullet tip of the Crayola brush pens because I actually really, really like them. So as with the Tombows, you get a dual tip brush pen, and again, the Crayola one is a little bit smaller and maybe even a little bit more pointed at the top. I like the bullet tip of the Crayola ones, and I am someone who really likes the monoline lettering. So for me, these were really fun to get for this specific reason. If you're not somebody who likes to use the bullet tip of your brush pen, then it's kind of up to you. But as you can see, the outcome of the brush pens are really similar. Out of these 3 pens to do brush lettering, I would probably say that the Crayola is my least favorite, which is kind of a bummer because, like I said, it was pretty expensive for Crayola markers. So the question that everybody's been asking me is, are these worth buying? And honestly, that's up to you. Hopefully this video has helped answer a lot of your questions about how these work, and then you can decide for yourself if these are a product that you would like to try or not. For myself personally, if I had a choice between the Crayola brush pens and the Crayola Broad Tips, I would honestly choose the Broad Tips. Not only for the price difference, but because I just like writing with these better, and I personally think that the outcome is a lot better with these. And I also haven't used these for too long, but just with the way that they write, I don't think they're going to last a super, super long time. Now, like I said before, the bonus is I love the bullet tip, but I love the bullet tip of a lot of other pens too, so I probably wouldn't purchase this just for the bullet tip. But let me just show you again the comparison between the two. These just write so smoothly, and if you didn't have to rotate the brush pen, that might be a different story, but since you do, just like the broad tip, that's kind of my downside of the broad tip, is that you have to rotate them. So since you have to do that with the brush pens as well, I don't see a huge, huge, huge difference. So overall, these aren't a bad brush pen, but if I could pick a Tombow or a Zig Brushables or even the Crayola Broad Tip Markers, I would definitely go with those over this brush pen. But it's totally up to you. We all have different styles. We all like different things. And that's why in my videos, I just try to show you all of the pros and cons that I can think of. And then hopefully that just helps you make a better decision on how to spend your money wisely when it comes to buying art supplies. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you have tried these brush pens and if you like them and what you thought of them, especially compared to the other 2 that I showed today. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can follow me on Instagram at howtohandletter. I'm over there a lot during the week when I'm not posting videos here, so that's a very quick way to find me. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope you have a great day.